Hi guys, and welcome back to another very special episode of The Final Third. Here we've got the Manchester City Fanzone, and I'm here with two very special guests. I'm here with Yannicka, and I'm here with Rose. Thank you for joining us on The Final Third, guys.
You're welcome.
All right, so you had an interesting season last season. You won your it feels like your mandatory Carabao Cup, where you kind of crashed and faded in the Premier League, and in the Champions League, again, crashed and faded. What was your thoughts towards last season? How did you feel last season went?
I just don't know what happened to us, honestly. Obviously, I'm happy that we won the Carabao Cup, but as a whole, it wasn't a great season for us. But we got far in the Champions League, which was a bonus, but no, without Aguero, we just had no chance of just getting to the final, realistically. And going out to Lyon, I'm still in shock that we lost to Lyon and we didn't get to the semis.
It was a shock. It was definitely a shock.
It's just, I don't know, it was just such an underwhelming season.
Hey.
And I don't know how we're going to be this season because we're still short. I still feel like, I'm sure Yannicka would agree, we still need that Vincent Kompany replacement. And even going into Wolves now, no Aguero, no Laporte, I'm so worried. Honestly, I'm worried. I just don't know what to expect this season.
Yannicka, what's your thoughts? How do you feel that last season went?
I think because we won the league back-to-back, I think the sole focus was always going to be, for us, the Champions League. It is something that we do need to win. So I think we went into that season kind of prioritising that. I think that did show in the league. You know, I think early on we were doing quite well. And then there was that game against Spurs where we drew. And it was a bit of a shock because we played so well. And I think after that, it just, Laporte got injured. And it just kind of went downhill from there.
And
I think the players were like, fine. Yeah, I think they were saying it's fine. We've won the league back-to-back. We need to win the Champions League. So we did go for that. But I think, I honestly believe with Aguero against Lyon, we don't lose that game. So I think as much as it's annoying and Pep overthought it and the lineup wasn't the best, you know, we deserve to go out because of the way that we played. Do you know what I mean? But I think if with Aguero, it's a different game. It's a different, you know, he doesn't miss them opportunities that
there was a couple stonewall chances that I could watching back, I still can't believe they didn't go in the net. All right, so
Aguero would have had at least a hat-trick in that game.
Definitely.
I can't even deny that. So we're going to move on to some of the transfer moves that you've made this season. You've moved for Ferran Torres from Valencia, and you've also moved for Nathan Ake from Bournemouth. You've been linked with players such as Kalidou Koulibaly as well. So what have you made of your transfer business so far? And where else do you think you need to add to the team?
Like I said before, I feel like we still need a good centre-back, like a world-class centre-back. Laporte's injured for the Wolves game, and when you think about it, what do we have? We have Ake. Obviously, I'm really excited to see how he does. Then we've got Garcia, and then we've got Stones and Otamendi. And you just see how, obviously, Ake, I'm expecting him to be quite good. And then Garcia, he's still young, he's still learning. I feel like we just need one more top quality centre-back. Especially to just partner Laporte, and if, let's say, one of them are injured, to, you know, partner the likes of Ake and Garcia. And that's the main thing, that we definitely need a world-class centre-back. And I also feel like we need a striker as well. Like, Aguero's been out since June, and look what's happened to us. We get knocked out for Lyon. Yeah, I'm actually a bit. I'm actually worried. And I know Jesus is really good as well, but I feel like we just need another top draw striker as well.
Yannicka, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Obviously, it's been quite obvious for a few seasons now that we've needed a centre-back. I think with Otamendi and Stones, together they don't work. You know, one of them with Laporte, depending on how they play, can work, but I think together they're a nightmare. So if Laporte gets injured like he did last season, we're pretty much, our defence is, you know,
relying on Fernandinho.
Not going to be successful, you know. So I think Garcia, you know, he's good, he's young, but he doesn't want to be at City. He wants to go back to Barcelona. So there's that element as well. I think we need, it's a bit of a toss-up between who we get, because we could get Koulibaly, who's proven, you know, world-class. He would come in, and I'm sure, well, he would obviously improve our defence significantly. So he would be good. I think with his age as well as experience, that's what we need in the dressing room. But then there are options where the players are younger and more long-term. They could fit in. So as long as we get someone who's good, I'm not too bothered, but we definitely need a centre-back. In terms of a striker, we used to have 4, and we've had 2 now for however long. And the amount of games we play, we need more than 2. Even if Aguero's fit, we still need 3. So I think with Aguero, he's injury prone at the moment. He doesn't do a full season. And he's impossible to replace, really. So we're going to struggle regardless when he leaves. But I think we need to be getting someone in to play alongside him, learn from him, so that when he does leave, you know, it's a simple transition. So...
No, I agree with Yannicka. I just feel like we also need a bit of a different type of striker. Like we still haven't replaced Dzeko. With the amount of crosses De Bruyne put into the box, if we had someone that's just a good header of the ball, that would be such an amazing option to have. And we just don't have that. I just feel like we're so reliant on Aguero. We also need a plan B sometimes when it's not going our way. So it would be nice if we got like a good, like tall, you know, big centre-back. No, so not centre-back, striker.
Talking about strikers, Gabby Jesus, he's been there for, I think, 4 years now. And it was always sort of thought that he'd be the one to step into Aguero's, once Aguero kind of fades out. I think he said he wants to move back to Argentina in 2021. He'd be the one to take the role. What's your thoughts on Gabby Jesus' time in Manchester? And do you feel like he can take on the mantle of being Manchester City's main goal scorer?
I think, to be honest, for him, he's slightly different to Aguero, the way he plays. So I think because we're so used to Aguero, he's so clinical, you know, he's everywhere, he can score from every angle. I feel like because of that, Gabby gets a bit of you know, grief that really he doesn't deserve, because he actually scores a lot of goals for us, and he has turned up when we've needed him to on quite a few occasions. So yeah, I do love Gabby. I always say that. But I think it's a lot of pressure to put on him, because at the moment it's just him. So we know Aguero's going out or Aguero's injured, and it's all on him. And I think he needs somebody to just kind of help him out a bit, you know. So if he's not having a good game, he can come off and think it's fine. You know, Aguero's injured, but, you know, whoever we get can handle it, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas he's under a lot of pressure at the moment, you know, and he's a good player, and I think he was so good so young as well.
Yeah.
So I think he will only get better as well. So yeah, I think it's more about having the depth than it is about him replacing Aguero. I think we just need depth in our strike force, because we used to have Aguero, Dzeko, Balotelli, Tevez. We used to have like 4 at all times, and now we've got 2, and it's 1.5 really. So yeah.
Rose,
I think he's good well.
Rose, do you feel like it's a similar situation where it's just depth, or do you feel like Happy Jesus' time has run his time at Manchester City? What's your thoughts?
No, I think that City's starting lineup is actually quite good. It's when we get those little injuries that you realise that we haven't got a lot of depth in the squad. I think Jesus is good. Like, I haven't really got a problem with him. It's just taking on like Aguero's role is so big. Like, you need to realise that Jesus is still a young player, and to have all that pressure on him as well. And obviously, whenever he plays, we always think, oh, like, he's not as good as Aguero, etc., etc. But I just feel like I still love him. I think he's such a good player. It's just we need someone else to just take the pressure off him sometimes.
Yeah.
So maybe if we like played, let's say, 2 up front. I know Pep doesn't really play like that, but do you remember when we used to play like Negredo and Dzeko up front, or Aguero and Negredo up front? You know, like when we used to play 2 up top. I just felt like Jesus would probably benefit from something like that because it would take the pressure off him. But I don't know.
Going on to transfer business, moving out of your club, you've had 2 notable departures this summer as well, with David Silva leaving the club after about 11 years, and also Leroy Sane making his way to Bayern Munich. What do you think the impact of those 2 leaving is going to be on the Manchester City squad?
I think David Silva, you know, he's been there through every other player's career. You know, no one had been there longer than him at the time when he left. So I think just losing, I think the problem that we've had is the players that we're losing are the big people in the dressing room. Yeah. And I know Silva's quite quiet, he doesn't talk a lot, but I think just the players learn from him. So like Foden, for example, idolises him. You know, just in training, he says like he learns from him and stuff like that. So I think the players are going to miss him as much as the fans, really. But yeah, I think in terms of him, you know, he was always going to leave. We were just it was just getting prepared for when he does. And we did get Phil, you know, we promoted Phil Foden. He's supposed to be like the guy, you know, who eventually will take over from him. We've got Bernardo Silva, who again, you know, was supposed to be learning from David. So hopefully they can kind of fill his shoes a little bit. But I think Sane is a different thing. You know, Sane is only going to get better. And, you know, it was a shame to lose him, but it wasn't like we got rid of him. He wanted to leave, so he left. It wasn't. If it was up to us, we offered him contract after contract to try and get him to stay, and he didn't want to stay. I think it was something to do with his relationship with Pep. Even though Pep doesn't like throwing his players under the bus, and Sane's now saying, "Oh, I learned so much defensive stuff from Pep," but actually, when he was at the club, he was saying, "Pep's trying to make me defend. I don't want to defend, so I'm going." That's basically his attitude. So he's kind of changed it a little bit now. But yeah, I'm happy for him because it's what he wants. You know, he's German. Bayern Munich are the pinnacle of German football. You know, he does have a good chance of winning the Champions League there. So yeah, I think for his career, it's perfect for him. But obviously for us, it's a shame because he's a great player. You know, and he's a big game player as well. He turns up Liverpool, them sort of games he turns up. So yeah, it's a shame to lose him.
Rose, what's your thoughts?
No, I agree with Yannicka. I'm still quite upset that we've lost him. I'm sure everyone watched the match yesterday when what did he do? He scored and had 2 assists.
Yeah, scored and 2 assists.
He's just such an amazing player, and it's just a shame that we just lost a player like that. But hopefully we can, you know, find someone just as good, you know.
Possibly Ferran Torres.
I hope so.
Yeah, he's supposed to be good, him. I've not seen much of him, but they're saying he's Spain's next best thing, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. All right, so moving on to Europe, we spoke about a little bit. This year you did crash out 3-1 against Lyon in the quarterfinal stages, and under Pep, that's been quarterfinal, and round of 16. So it's not the greatest record in Europe. What does Pep need to do to get over that hump and get you lot to the finals?
I would say before this season, it's always been a mentality thing. I think the players didn't think they could win it. They didn't believe they could win it. I think Pep didn't think we could win it either. You know, we always said we're not ready. And I used to say, you know, if you go back through Twitter and everything like that, I used to say, we're not ready. And people say, well, you should win it this year. And I'd say, no, we're not ready. So I think this season was the first season where I actually thought, you know what? I think we might be ready to win it. you know, and that's why it's such a shame that we went out the way we did. I think the scoreline doesn't really represent the game too much, because we actually played all right. You know, we weren't terrible. We just weren't clinical enough, which has been the story of the season. Which I always say sounds crazy because we scored so many goals, but we were not clinical this season. And then we were sloppy at the back. So it was like two things. You know, Laporte didn't have the best game. He'd just come back from being injured. Best game. So the people that we'd normally rely on to push us through, you know, your Agueros, you know, De Bruyne played well, got a goal, fantastic goal, you know, and I think on a different day, he would be celebrating an assist at least, you know. So, he should have had about 3 assists in that game. And I think if Aguero was there, he would have connected with De Bruyne and that, you know, we'd be celebrating the victory. I also think I think it was 2-1, where Raheem missed that sitter. If he scores that, it's a different game. So I think 3-1 sounds harsher than I think the game was. But obviously once it was 2-1 and it was the last minute, City were just going to go for it. So they obviously counted us. But yeah, I think I wouldn't say, because a lot of people were saying it's all on Pep, you know, and I agree with that. He has to take the blame for it because the lineup wasn't ideal. And when he actually
what did you think?
The lineup,
sorry, just to cut you off. What did you think of the decision to go 3 at the back against Lyon? Because apparently the players wasn't training in that formation for most of the week, and then he made the decision to move to 3 at the back. What do you lot make of that decision? Do you feel like that was one of the reasons why the performance didn't go the way you wanted it to?
I think the players did hint at that, and I think when our fans saw the lineup, straight away they were like, "Well done, Leon." You know, Pep. You know, the lineup's not good enough. We're not going to win with that team, and so I think the City fans already kind of knew before the game kicked off. And then when we started playing, we were playing okay. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to judge Pep yet because, you know, we started all right. But then I think it just showed throughout the game. Players didn't really know what was expected of them. So yeah, I think it's always a bit dangerous to change tactics. And I think with City, we play so well when we play our game. So I just don't understand why. We're better than Lyon, technically. So I don't know why he didn't just say, go out there, have fun, you know, win the game. So
he changed it in the second half, which is why we played a bit better. But I just feel like he did overthink it a bit. I think it's because we just in our previous 2 matches with Lyon, we lost and we drew. So I just feel like he did overthink it a bit. And then obviously when we went 1-0 down, he went back to just playing how we usually play. But it was too late.
It was
too late. We had already conceded. And the thing about City is when we concede, I get worried. Because it's just hard for us to come back.
I think this season in particular, though, because we used to, I remember under, I think it was Mancini? No, Pellegrini, I think it was. We would just outscore teams. If they scored 3, we'd score 4.
But now the most disgusting team back then, just scoring goals for fun back then.
We just outscore everyone. Like, we didn't care because we knew we could outscore people. But I think now, this season in particular, if we go 1-0 down, it's over.
But that's the thing, Yannicka. That's because we haven't got those 4 options as strikers. That's the thing. We're short. We're short in the striking positions. We're just short.
I want to move on to a couple predictions now. I don't know, 3 things. Where do you think you're going to finish? Who your top goal scorer is going to be, and who your most important player is. So your player of the year is going to be. I want to know all 3 of those things from you.
With Chelsea signing Timo Werner and like Thiago Silva, and obviously all their signings, just wow, how many signings did they sign? And then Liverpool going in and getting Thiago and Diogo Jota. Honestly, I don't think we're gonna. If we don't sign a world-class centre back, I don't think we're gonna win the league. Unfortunately, I feel like Liverpool will do a back-to-back. But if we do sign a world-class centre back, then we could challenge. So I don't know where we're going to finish. Maybe we'll finish second or third. That's what I'm predicting.
Second or third, okay. Yannicka, what's your prediction for the table?
I agree with that. I did say that I think if we sign a centre-back, then we can win it. My reason for that is actually the same reason that we didn't win it last season. Because we had 2 fantastic seasons where we were at, a very high standard all the way through. You obviously have a fall off. So I thought maybe Liverpool would have that fall off this season because they've had 2 fantastic seasons, and it is quite hard to maintain it 3 years in a row. But I think with Liverpool freshening up their squad, that gives them an advantage. So I don't know I don't think they will fall off anymore, which is what I was saying originally if they kept the same squad. And you could even see in the first game of the season against Leeds, you could see they weren't as sharp, so, but I think now they're freshening up their squad. There's no reason why they can't.
They've strengthened in their midfield.
Back, we should be okay because we had 2 fantastic seasons, and then last season it wasn't great, but we didn't have a lot of luck last season and we weren't clinical enough. So I think even if we just sort that out and we have a centre back, we should improve as well. So we'd have to see.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I feel like if we sign a centre back, I feel like, do you know how City normally win the league and then they don't win the league and then they win the league and then they don't win the league? I feel like this season, if we did sign a centre back, we could probably win the league. I feel like we will cope. The only thing that I will say is I'm going to be a bit worried about the Champions League, because in the league I feel like we can cope, but in the Champions League I feel like that's where, if we haven't got top players in the Champions League, we're not competing. But that world-class centre-back could potentially just tip us over the edge and we could actually just win the league. Yeah, it could change everything, yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to top goal scorer. Who's going to take the golden boot home for Man City?
I don't know.
You've got a lot of options there. You've got Sterling, Aguero coming back. Possibly
if
Gabby
fully
Jesus.
fit the whole season, I would say Aguero. But it's whether he can stay fit. So I think if not Aguero, then probably Sterling, But yeah, I'd like Aguero to win the Golden Boot. I would like him to win it because I think he's not won it enough, because he doesn't play all the games. He's sort of scoring 2 goals less than the Golden Boot winner, but playing 10 games less. Or 5 games less, but he's got 2 less. And it's like he should be winning it on them seasons. So I would like him to win it. So I'm going to say Aguero if he stays fit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm hoping Aguero can just get fit as soon as possible. I think he'll win it.
All right. Kevin De Bruyne took home the PFA Player of the Year. I want to know who you think is going to take home the Manchester City Player of the Year. So who's going to be your most important player next season?
Again, De Bruyne. I don't see anyone else but De Bruyne. Yeah. He's just a star player, isn't he? He's just the best player. Yeah.
He's so creative. He, he works for the team as well. So I think it'll be him again.
All right. That's the Manchester City Fanzone wrapped up. Again, thank you to Yannicka. Thank you to Rose for coming on. It's always great to have some Manchester City content. Everybody says that there's no Manchester City fans. I want to tell them there's fans out there. There's fans out there.
There's so many of us.
You got to show them. We got to show them. If they don't want to see you, got to show them. But again, thank you. This has been the final third Fanzone. Is there anything that you don't want to plug? I'd love for you to do it now.
I just started a YouTube actually, but I've not done any videos. But it's called Yan City Ent.
Yan City Ent. Make sure you follow. You're there for the first video. Subscribe.
Yeah, and follow my Instagram and Twitter at RoseMCFC.
RoseMCFC at Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you follow that, guys. Guys, make sure you follow the Final Third on all platforms. That's the Final Third _ on Twitter and Instagram, and the Final Third on YouTube. Guys, once again, another big thank you. This has been the Final Third. Good night.